By and large, migrations have mostly remained the same from version 3 to 4. However, there have been some slight tweaks and improvements which you should know. Let's go over those right now. Here I am in the terminal in my Laravel 4 folder. So let's create our first migration. We could say PHP artisan, or as I covered in a previous lesson, artisan, or we could create an alias. Alias art equals PHP artisan. Now I can say art migrate make. And I will say create posts table. And let's just run it like that and see what we get. Now this is what you're used to in version 3. So if I open up Sublime Text, we can browse to app, database, migrations, and now we can see we have that new post. Or as I will generally do, in Sublime Text, I will hit Command P to bring up the file browser, and then I will type the name of the migration. Create posts table, there it is, and now I don't have to manually browse to it in the sidebar, and in fact, I can actually hide that sidebar completely. So now you'll see it creates our class, create posts table, it extends the migration class, and we have two methods that are empty, one for up and one for down. So that's okay, but it still leads to a lot of manual writing. So I will bring back the sidebar, and let's delete this file and start over. Now I'm going to try it again, but this time I'm going to specify the name of the table. So if I write table equals posts. So now we're going to create a new migration, and the table that this corresponds to is the posts table. So let's run that, and now one more time if I open it up, you'll see adding that single flag or argument will now create the necessary schema. So now it knows, all right, we're working with the posts table, and now you can begin specifying the fields that you require. Let's add one more though. Let's delete this again. And now I'm also going to specify that we are creating a new table. So you would only pass this when you are writing a migration to create a new table, not to modify one, not to update one. We are creating one here. So let's run that. And now one more time, if I come back, you'll see some slight tweaks. First, because we are creating a new table, Laravel is going to assume that you want an ID field that auto increments as a primary key. Also, it knows because we are creating the table, rather than doing schema table, it knows to do schema create, and subsequently, the reverse for a create migration would be to drop the table entirely. So then at this point, we just specify our fields, maybe string title and table text for the body. And of course, you would want some other things like the creator of the post, some timestamps, but let's keep it very simple. All right, so now that we've created this migration, we of course need to run it, and this will be the same as we did in Laravel 3. Artisan migrate. There we go. As we had only one migration, it will list that out. But if we had additional migrations to run, it would display that as well. Let's make sure it worked. I'm within SQL Pro, and it does appear to work, but I want you to notice something. That migrations table was created for you automatically. So if you had done that in version 3, you would have to first install the migrations table using something along the lines of artisan migrate : install. When you do that in version 4, you can still install the migrations table manually. However, if you forego doing that, Laravel is smart enough to know, wait a minute, I first need to install the migrations table before creating the posts. And I'll show you where it says that. Let me search within our project just to make it quicker, because I can't remember exactly where it is. But I'm going to look for migrate install to see where that's run. And there we go. It's in the migrate command. And if you'd like to see where that's located, you can right-click and choose Reveal in Sidebar and Sublime Text. And now you can see it's within Illuminate, Database, Migrations. So let me hide that. And if I scroll down to Migrate Install, here's where you can see where we prepare the database. And basically what we see here is that when we call migrate, it will determine if it needs to also call migrate install before. Now to finish up this lesson, let's take a look at some of the other commands that we can do with migrate. However, in order to do that, I want to have one more migration. So I will run art migrate make create users table. Once again, the table will be users and we are creating it. That's been created. So now I will hit Command P, create users table. And here we're going to be really lazy and just do string name and keep it like that. Now I can run art migrate. And if we come back to the database and reload it, sure enough, we do have the new users table. So watch what happens now if I run artisan migrate rollback. Now this is something you should be familiar with from version 3. That will roll back the very last migration that it ran. In this case, create users table. And if I reload, that's gone. So I can re-migrate, and that will run that migration, of course. and now it's back. However, what if we wanted to roll back everything? We essentially just wanted to reset all of the migrations back to 0. Well, in that case, we would do art, migrate, reset. So of course, the difference in this case is that it's going to roll back every single migration that you've run. So then at this point, if I reload, you'll see it gets rid of all of the tables, except for the migrations. So let's rerun those migrations, art migrate, now they're back. But let's say we made some kind of mistake, some kind of stupid mistake that we forgot, for example, maybe the age on the users table. Okay, well there's a couple ways we could fix this. Within here, I could simply go ahead and add it back on, string age, and then I could roll back the migration. However, let me show you one different command, even though rollback would be the correct choice. If I run art, migrate, refresh, what that's going to do is roll back or essentially perform a reset. It's going to roll all of the migrations back and then rerun them again. So just refresh all of the migrations. Now if I run it, and we come back, reload the page, you can see we rolled back every migration, reran them so that it recognized the change, and now all is well. However, like I noted, because it was the last change, in a real-world project, you would probably want to roll back that one migration and then rerun it. Now, we also need to talk about database seeding. This is something you'll do likely. You want to get started with maybe a couple users, or maybe you even want to seed a test database, maybe some kind of database in memory. Well, Laravel 4 provides that out of the box, and I'll show you it in the next lesson.